Thank you for joining us today at Miniature Wargaming Labs. We're in this episode of Build With Us. We're going to bash together a Orlock Lugger for our games of Necromunda. Now I made this model, it's all Games Workshop bits, so it should be tournament legal there. And it combines several sets. So the one that made this possible is this little track piece. And that comes from the Battle Zone Objective set, released with 9th edition. For the Lugger part, we've got X101 from the Combat Arena box set, or Blackstone Fortress games. We of course have the Harpoon weapon system from the Orlock Ganger box, and we've magnetized it so that we can make it all the weapon variants. I ran out of magnets, so I can't just make a normal Lugger there, but we'll get to him sometime. Made like a little dog collar for him at the waist to tie the two models together. So we modified a bit from the Orc box set. Gave him a little technical readout. This is the old Tactical Marine Auspex. And in the back, to blend in how we're tying the torso to there, we just took some of the old Tactical Marine ammo cases and they're supposed to carry stuff anyway. Tuck those in the back, tie it together, and just a touch of green stuff around here. It's left to show. So I'm happy with how this one turned out, and if you'd like to see how I did it, keep on watching. So when kitbashing a House Orlock Lugger, first thing to do is find any pictures and the stats for it. So there's two locations where you can find pictures of the Lugger and the stats for it. One is in Gangs of the Underhive, and one is in House of Iron. So let's start with the House of Iron one. This is the newer entry, and you see this is the image of what Lugger looks like. The primary difference between this and the traditional Warhammer 40k Imperial Servitors, which this guy looks a lot alike, is that according to the fluff on this, he comes on tank tracks, not legs. So there's no exact model at Forge World or Games Workshop that has tank tracks in this model. So that means we're going to have to cut it together. But if you look at the options that you get on this, you can see it comes with a harpoon launcher. We can find that on the House Orlock sprue. But you can also take a heavy bolter, flamer, and stubber. And if you go to Forge World and get the Orlock weapons upgrade, you'll get a lot of these weapons that fit the theme of the Orlocks. And of course, it has armor and monosight. That's something I don't feel necessary to add anything to. But now this is the House of Iron. This is the new one. Now if you go to the older book, Gangs of the Underhive, and you look at it, there's this option for a servitor weapon, which isn't on the House of Iron entry. So that's something that's different between the two. Otherwise, same artwork. So now we're going to figure out how we're going to put this guy together. So when we look at making our House Lugger, and the reason I made this video is that the thing that separates a Lugger from a normal servitor is the tank tracks. And when I saw the new 40k Battle Zone Objective set, the whole reason I bought it is because I saw those right there. That's these pieces right here. So I said, you know, a lot of these objects I can use for Necromunda. This is scenery, and this for a Lugger conversion. And there's little tank treads. So that is what I was looking for. You see he's got a little exhaust in the back. Now, didn't want to take a standard, the old metal servitors, and plop it on top because a little underwhelming guy. But what they do have is the X101 servitor from Combat Arena, the Blackstone Fortress games. And this guy is a bit beefier and bulkier, and I think would fill out this nicely. So let's go ahead and get started. putting this one together. So we're going to clip them off the sprue here. And I'm going to take my clippers here. I'm going to take the flat part of the blade and I'm going to place the flat part towards the model. This prevents the model from mushrooming out. Now you might ask where I got this guy, since I just wanted him. eBay. I think he was missing his feet, like the little feet he walked around on, but that was okay, because I didn't need them. Now I have my pieces cut off, and something that we need to adjust here is when you look at the arm of the servitor, you'll notice that there is an admix symbol on his left shoulder. So what we're going to do is we're just going to trim that off, since Machine God is not really welcome on Necromunda. So I'm just going to clip off the very top. I'm going to leave the gear. No point getting carried away. The gear seems to make sense. And we'll file the last bits off there. And speaking of cleaning and filing, what you'll notice is on these models where it connected to the sprue, we're going to go around with our blade and trim those off so it gets flush when we start gluing this together. And then we're going to take our file, we're just going to go down and lightly get that mold lining off. And we're going to go all around these and clean them up. Alright, so we have all our pieces cleaned up here and we're going to assemble them. But before we put this guy together, what happens is I want to make sure that I can swap out his right arm. So I'm going to magnetize it. So all those weapon options are going to be situated to the right arm. His left arm I'm going to use as either as just a regular arm or claim it's the combat weapon because it's bigger and more armored. So to do that, we're going to take clippers. I'm just going to snip it right there, get that off, and we'll start gluing this guy together. And the reason I need to do that is because the head fits in there. Then, alright, start gluing here. Just little dabs of glue. And I hate this little sprue thing on the side here, so I'm going to cut that off. It always gets in the way when I assemble these guys. Alright. And what pins them together is his little backpack and this giant prong. If I can find, there we go, got it lined up. And then we're going to glue in the arm socket and right there. There we go. Now we gotta wait for that to dry. Alright, now is the point when I want to start mating the top part of this model to the base of this model. So that means his legs are going to have to go. And I like to keep a lot of the detail from the cabling in here, but my concern is when I attach the Orlock harpoon, I don't want to put this so deep that any weapons will start hanging off and hit the treads. I also have the issue of I want to keep these control panels back here, but I don't want them hitting the tread also. So we're going to start trimming this guy down, and I'm going to start with just hacking off a leg. And this is where we start hitting the point of no return. Alright. Let's see what that looks like when I put him down. Alright. You want to have a sense of how far that will go. Okay, that would be good. I want him the right way. Alright, let me eyeball this. Alright, seems like a good depth. This leg is all over the place. Let's trim some of this off. Alright. Oops. Keep my arm backwards. Alright. You can see the issue here is his left leg. We're actually getting to the point. Some of the technical dendrites are hanging down, might hit treads. Alright, I'll have to start hacking off some of the detail to get him to fit right, which I was hoping not to do. So we'll start sculpting him into place. That's better. So I'm going to have to cut him up to his crotch to get the height and fit I'm looking for. Periodically, let me just stand him there, see what it looks like. Yeah. Alright, we're going to hack to there. That piece went flying. Getting down to some real plastic here. What I want to do is I want to carve a little spot out here for the circle to go in, but to keep that cable. I like the looks of that. Maybe you shouldn't cut towards yourself. Might slice your thumb. Just start shaping this into a cylinder shape. To match with this cylinder shape. We're getting there. It's kind of like whittling and woodworking. go. I think what I'll do is start securing him. And I'm happy with little bits in the back not falling onto the tread. Alright, got it where I think I want it. So let me get a bunch of plastic glue here. We'll put on a healthy dose. See, I like plastic glue because I can kind of starts getting tacky, but you still have a little bit of play in it. Alright, now we're going to let that guy dry up there for a little bit. So our Orlock Lugger here seems to be secure on the base, but as you can see, this is kind of unsightly. So I want to cover that up. I decided to do that. I need something particularly Orlocky, or more appropriately Orky. So this is the shoulder pad from the Orc set, and what I'm going to try to do is fit that into there and try to basically put it over this seam. But I don't want it looking like I took it off the Orc set, so these have the little wave type spikes, so I'm just going to take my clippers and turn those into normal spikes. Gotta imagine the Orlocks probably keep these things around like one of their pets. So it'd be like its spiked dog collar. Alright, so as I fit this to it, I wanted to keep that cable right there. But I want to cover as much as this seam, so I'm going to have to start etching off little pieces right there, off corners. Till I get the fit I want. She wants to fit down there, but I want it up higher. Just a little bit more off the side. Maybe like that. I should think what I'm going to do. Hopefully this works. I don't have many of these. Orcs aren't my thing. Just trim it down. Alright. Wish I could rebend the plastic. I think what I'm going to have to do for this is just get some green stuff out. Alright, I'm going to get my green stuff. I always get nervous using this. I don't think I've ever really messed up. It's always in the back of my mind. So we'll go ahead and get this mixed up here and start molding this guy together. Alright, I've got my green stuff mixed up here, so I'm just going to start with like a little thumbnail full. What I'm going to try to do now is my backup plan. Just stick it right there and try to mimic the mold of the fabric. And let's see how that looks. Ooh, that turned out pretty well. Then take these, get a little water on them, just push until we smooth out the green stuff. Don't want it looking rough. Of course, I failed to secure this guy. I'm going to take my super glue and we'll go ahead and spout some in here at the back. I'll hold it upside down so it runs the length of what will essentially be my dog collar for my Orlock Lugger. Let that just seep in there. Now we're going to let that dry and then we'll move along to the back there. Try to blend that butt in there. Now that we've got the front taken care of and it's dry, I want to take care of the back, but you know, green stuff can be a pain. So what I'm going to do is I am going to take, where'd the other one go? Alright, 2 ammo packs from the old tactical Space Marine sets, and I'm just going to layer them back here because you're really not going to be looking at the back of the model anyway. So, you know, he's a lugger and he's supposed to be carrying stuff. So we'll go ahead and shoot some plastic glue Alright, I'll just get him set in there. Now I use my tweezers, start trying to slide this guy into place. I want to make sure that they're even. So, slide this guy up. See? Alright, now that's in place. So while that's curing, what I'm going to do is clip out my Orlock harpoon system here. So let's just start thinking about how I'm going to do this. Fit this up. Like, where am I going to put? So I want this magnetized to him, so I can swap out for the different payloads. And so I'm going to think, where am I going to put the magnets? Actually, it looked really cool right there. See, I thought that would have been cool if I could have tied into the bottom of that. That's not going to work. Probably just want something to go right there. Alright, so let's look at the magnets I have. These are my last two, actually. Didn't realize I was running low on magnets here. These are tiny little babies. Alright, and that's why I have a metal tray. That'll help them stick. Let's see. Be like that. Alright, let's go ponder this while this stuff cures. And figure out where I want to put the harpoon. So it's time to drill a little hole for little tiny magnets. And so I've picked a drill bit that's about the size of those magnets, and I want to go for something tap dead center. Alright, now I'm going to cut out here and widen this hole a little bit. See, this wasn't designed, because you saw how I put this together. There's that funny little arrangement that they had to fit these pieces. Alright, let's see if this is going to work. Alright, so we've got the magnets sunk in there. I was widening out the hole and just testing to make sure that the magnet fit. And it's a tight fit, and I couldn't get it back out. Or, I got it in the place I want. Why risk, getting it out of place? So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take some super glue, and we'll get this guy glued into place. So you got a little gap around the magnet. So there's like a little notch there. So gravity will feed that down and start securing it into place. So let that seep down. And of course, to speed things along, we use our accelerant. There we go. Now we'll let that cure and come back to attach this piece. So I've got my magnet secured in place there, and I've put the magnet that'll be sunk into the harpoon into place. Now, something that I hate doing is I think I've got to finally trim off these pieces. I was hoping to get it so it looked like these were feeding into the harpoon, but I don't think that's going to be possible. And I wanted to leave them on there in case I ever wanted to remount this. I'd probably just cut that one, leave that one sticking out. And he's considering whatever future weapon options I put on here. Alright. Sometimes you gotta make a tough call and kill your darlings. There. Let's smooth that out. Alright. So this gives a little more room here. So let's see where we want to place this. I think I want it right there, which puts it right in there. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to make a little flat area. Because honestly, no one's going to see that side of it anyway. Alright, so before we do this, let's check it and see what it looks like from the back. Alright, looking good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grip it like this. I am going to put a spot of super glue come on. Right there. And then I am going to change plan. Alright. Just watch super glue dry here. Okay. There we go. I want to make sure that super glue doesn't run back onto the main model and the rest of the magnet. So I'd say my model's almost done, but just taking a look at him, this looks a little blank. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an Auspix from one of the old TAC Marine boxes, and I am going to modify this. I'll just cut off some of the antennas here. Then nice neat slice. Start whittling away the hand. I whittled down to the part where I want the line to prevent mushrooming. Alright, and what I'm thinking is I've got a ton of those. So how about placing it right there? Not a bad idea, but I think I want to take all the antennas off. Maybe just leave that one for interest. Smooth this out. And once again, let's do a dry fit to make sure we're happy with it. I think it would look good right there. Drop that right into place. Oops, got caught. It's the first time I had that happen with the tweezers. Alright, now you're frustrating me. Just use my fingers there. So there we go. We can give them a little Auspex screen so the guys can check on them. So let's look at them from the back. Looks good. Weapon detaches. So in the future, what did I do with his arm? Oh, here it is. When I get some more magnets, I'll magnetize it so that he can be the unarmed, or whenever I find a bolter or a flamer I like, swap that on there. So he's looking pretty good. Well, I'm going to call that a day. So thank you for joining us at Miniature Wargaming Labs, and we'll see you next time.